The Marines, their job, it's pretty hard, and I don't think that we give them the credit that they deserve because number one, the amount of corruption that is within the Marines and the world government, and number two, because our protagonists, they are pirates, and typically it's Marines versus pirates, even though technically the Marines are supposed to be the good guys. And since the Straw Hats, they are on the pirate side, the viewers, they are going to side with them a lot more. But there are two Marines that I wanted to highlight in this video because of how high they rank within the Marines, as well as how they've constantly struggled with trying to fulfill their role and also do what's morally right. Those two Marines would be Garp and Kizaru. They are both well respected within the Marines and they hold important roles, so everything they do is going to be monitored by those above them. And there were two incidents that happened with these two Marines involved, which involved Marineford and Egghead, that I want to highlight. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content like this, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that away, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's talk about why it's so hard to be a Marine. As I mentioned earlier, both Garp and Kizaru, they are well respected. Garp, he is a vice admiral, and this is because he declined moving up to being an admiral because that would mean he would directly serve under the Celestial Dragons. And Kizaru, he is currently a Navy admiral, some of the strongest Marines in the series. They both had to push aside their personal feelings in order to fulfill their roles, and because of this, someone that they cared about was killed. For Garp, it was Ace, and for Kizaru, it was Vegapunk. Let's talk about the context behind why Ace was killed at Marineford and Vegapunk was killed at Egghead. I want to talk about Marineford first because, well, unlike Egghead, I was not in the community when Marineford was taking place, but I bet that the vibes were kind of similar, how so many people were questioning why Garp didn't intervene and why he didn't save Ace. How can he choose his job over saving a loved one? And I definitely agree that Garp should have intervened way sooner than what he did. However, it's not so simple to do so. Garp, his situation, it's a little bit different from Kizaru because he didn't actually kill Ace like Kizaru did. Man, that's gotta be tough. But I'd argue that Ace and Garp were closer than Kizaru and Vegapunk, because Garp and Ace, their relationship is kind of like father and son. I know it's kind of weird because Ace always claims that Whitebeard's his father, but Ace and Garp definitely had a similar relationship. The reason Garp raised Ace is because of what Roger asked him to do. He asked for Garp to raise him, since even though Ace is Roger's son, he's just a baby who shouldn't be blamed for any crimes that he didn't commit, which is certainly true. I definitely agree that a child shouldn't have to pay for their father's crimes. However, I understand why the world government wanted to execute anybody affiliated with the Pirate King, because what if this child was to grow up and be on the level or even surpass Roger's legacy? But what Garp decided to do is take in Ace. He gave him to Deden, hoping that he'd become a Marine, and we know the story of Ace. He grew up with Sabo and Luffy. He became a captain of the Spade Pirates, then he served as Whitebeard's second commander, and because of that, he was brought to the world government by Blackbeard, and that's what caused Marineford. Ace, he was to be bait in order for Whitebeard to show up. During Marineford, Garp, he was kind of a non-factor. He wasn't really helping the Marines, but at the same time, he wasn't really hurting them, and the reason why I say that is because if you look at Hachinosu, Garp, he definitely could have shifted the tide at Marineford. Throughout this arc, Garp, he was constantly contemplating about what he should do. If he saved Ace, he would be going against what he believed as a Marine. We know how much he values being a Marine because of how much he tried to get Ace, Sabo, and Luffy to join them. We saw Garp cry, and he was upset that Ace got captured because he truly cares for him. And as I mentioned, there were several times when Garp held himself back, aside from when he punched Marco. But when Garp saw Luffy there and how hard he was trying to save Ace, he allowed Luffy to punch him and not get in his way. That was Garp's way of both not getting in the way of the Marine duties, but also allowing Ace to be freed. However, Akainu, he punched a hole in Ace's chest, and this is the famous Garp line saying that he killed Akainu if Sengoku didn't stop him. Now, I'm not going to get into that debate whether or not Garp could have killed Akainu. I think that's a subject for another day. Fast forward to the aftermath of Garp visiting Fuchsia village and Dadan punching him, blaming Garp for not helping Ace, where Makino said that Garp, he is hurting the most right now, so because of his Marine pride, he chose his job over Ace. I do want to mention that although I think Ace's execution was a little bit much, he's still a pirate, and even though there are good pirates in this series like the Straw Hats, the Spade Pirates, the Red Hair Pirates, they're still technically bad because they still commit crimes. For example, they steal food. So yeah, even though they're good pirates, they're still criminals. Although I do believe that the world government kinda is a little bit unfair to them because the amount of times that they've saved the world government's behind. I mean, defeating different corrupt warlords. I think that Sengoku as the fleet admiral, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have all the say because there's the people above him like the Gorosei, like Imu, but at the same time, I do think that if they weren't corrupt, that they would, or they should, allow the pirates that are good to roam the seas and be free. I think that both sides, they do things that is technically wrong and technically right, but if you look at it from the story purpose, the Marines are technically the good guys because they're supposed to protect the citizens and fight against any forms of injustice. Moving on to Kizaru, his side, the admirals, including Aokiji, Akainu, and Kizaru, they all have different forms of justice. Akainu, his is absolute, Aokiji is lazy, and Kizaru, his is uncertain, and this is because, well, he actually doesn't know what he wants to do after seeing what happened between Aokiji and Akainu. This is why Kizaru, he is so nonchalant, he doesn't take charge, and he always listens to orders. But Kizaru, he was sent to Egghead in order to eliminate Vegapunk because he was researching about the Void Sentry, and as I mentioned in previous videos, to a certain degree, this is Vegapunk's fault. Knowing that the world government was corrupt, he still decided to work for them. But at the same time, they're hiding something, and typically when you hide something, that means you're in the wrong. So technically, I guess you could say Vegapunk shouldn't be executed for this. But because Vegapunk went against those in power, that's why he's getting executed. Kizaru, he's just doing his job. He believes in the Marines, and can we really fault him for that? There are different interactions on Egghead, like Kizaru versus Sentomaru, Kizaru trying to slay Banya and Kuma, and Kizaru killing Vegapunk. After killing Vegapunk, Kizaru in chapter 1111 states that he wants to rest and is deeply wounded because of him being the one that had to kill an old friend. If you're being honest, the good Marines in this series, they are technically doing what is correct because they're the good guys, people like Smoker, Taishiki, Kobe, Garp, etc. However, there are still those that are corrupt, and because those at the top are in power, as I mentioned earlier, they create what is justice. So good Marines like Garp and Kizaru, they can't really oppose them, which makes it hard for them to do their job. And it's unfortunate because there are different instances when they're doing their jobs, but it's at the cost of someone they truly care about. But that's just my thoughts about the different Marines, specifically Garp and Kizaru, and I included them because I feel like their situation was really similar, and it just sucks because two characters that they care about had to die. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.